Hey everybody, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Thank you for tuning in today. To start off with, I wanted to give a little glimpse of some color comps that I did. Normally I film my sketching process, but I didn't this time, or if I did, I lost the footage. So instead you can watch me doing some color comp. I definitely don't do these often, and definitely not as often as I should. Usually when I do them, it's because I have a piece sketched out that I really like the composition of, or the character, but I'm not sure which colors that I want to use. I don't have a set number of them that I do. Sometimes it's a couple, sometimes it's more than that. It really just depends on how many it takes for me to get the color scheme that I'm going for. In this case, it ended up being 3. So I did the one on the top, and then that warmer one on the left, and then this one on the right ended up being the one that I liked, so that's the one I went with. So as you can see, today I'm going to be painting a unicorn, and you can also see that that is not fan art. So I had mentioned a couple times on this channel before that I gave myself the challenge of doing 31 pieces of fan art in the month of July. And a big impetus for that challenge was I knew my kids were going to be gone for the summer, and so A, I would have a bunch of free time, and B, I usually get pretty depressed when the kids are gone, so I wanted to make sure that I had something to throw myself into. As it turned out, despite having a long list of fandoms which I really adore and characters which I really like, I just couldn't find the inspiration to do much more than a couple pieces of it. And I'd kind of been in a bit of an art rut for a while, doing a little bit of sketching, but not really many finished pieces, and not feeling really good about my art, which also doesn't help with the being already depressed. And then my lovely friend Gianna messaged me, and she is obsessed with unicorns. She has an entire wall in her house that is unicorn-themed art. And she messaged me and she said, "Why haven't you painted any unicorns yet? I really need a unicorn for my wall." And for some reason that sparked inspiration in me, and I drew up first a little sketch in my sketchbook, and then I redrew that onto a piece of watercolor paper, and here we are, doing the painting. With this painting, I'm trying to do a couple of different things. Number one, I'm trying to work wet on wet, which is something that I, until very recently, did not do. I remember talking with one of my other artist friends who's a big fan of wet on wet watercolor, and he was telling me how great it was, and I remember being just, nope. I like wet on dry application. I felt like it gave me more control. I felt like watercolor was a really unforgiving medium, and when you do wet on wet, colors tend to flow and kind of go wherever, or so it felt at the time, and I felt like it gave me less control, and it's not something that you can fix later, so having the most control was the best thing. But as I'm learning to control the water on my brush, and to control the amount of paint that I'm using, and those sorts of things, I've really realized that watercolor is a very forgiving medium. You can see throughout the process of this painting that I add some pretty bold colors on layers, and then I'm able to dissipate them and to blend them out. And I really like that. It was a great experience, and it felt really good doing it, and it felt like growth, like kind of mastering this new skill that I haven't previously been able to do in a way that I liked. The second thing that I wanted to do with this piece was be more conscious, if that makes sense. So I find that a lot of times when I'm painting, it's not very well planned out. It's kind of just intuitive. I do generally use reference, but as far as like picking my colors beforehand, I don't do a lot of that. A lot of it is kind of mixing on the fly. And so for this, like with the color comps, again, I mentioned I don't do those frequently. I think I've done them for maybe half a dozen pieces at most. So I wanted to put that kind of extra forethought into it. I also was paying a lot of attention while I did the piece to what I was doing, but mostly to what I liked about what I was doing and what I didn't like. So I'm trying to put a conscious effort into not just painting, not just the intuitive, knowledge that you pick up by practicing, but also very conscious knowledge gathering. So, for instance, one of the things that I learned with this painting is I actually really enjoy hard edges. I like, nice blended gradients, but the occasional hard edge, especially with things like shadows, I just really like the way that it looks. I'm also learning that I really like layering, which wasn't something that I did a lot of in most of my earlier pieces. Minimal amounts of layering, and now I'm trying to kind of focus on layering and building up depth and building up shadows and values as I go along. I think it makes for a much more interesting and a much more vibrant painting. I've been a lot happier, particularly when it comes to skin tones. A lot happier with the skin tones and the faces of the last couple paintings that I've done where I've tried to focus on layering. I think learning these things about my art and what I like about my art and don't like about my art is important. That very conscious approach to kind of analyzing it as I'm doing it, analyzing it after the fact, and even before the fact, analyzing the way that I want to approach a piece. For me, that's important because I think that knowing those things about myself kind of helps to inform the way that I move forward and the way that I continue to do pieces. And I think it also helps to identify my style. And I feel like that's a really loaded word that gets a lot more importance put on it than is necessary. I'm a fairly new artist. I haven't been doing this forever. I don't think that I have a particular style, and I think that's completely okay. For all new artists, myself included, not to have a style. But the way that you get a style, I think, is a very organic process, and it essentially boils down to figuring out what you like and you don't like as you go. And so that's kind of what I'm trying to do. I'm not gonna lie, despite honestly believing that it's okay for me not to have a style, and despite telling myself that quite frequently, I, like almost all other humans in this day and age, am pretty influenced by what I see on social media. And recently there's been that big craze of draw this in your style. If you're not on Instagram or you haven't seen this hashtag going around, it's the draw this in my style challenge. So one artist will put up a piece of work and another artist will kind of interpret that into their own style. And it's been this amazing thing to watch unfolding on Instagram and across YouTube as well. And seeing these artists collaborating together and reimagining each other's work, and I've just really enjoyed watching it. At the same time, I've also really wanted to participate in it. Participating in this challenge, though, means interpreting someone else's work in your own style, and I don't feel like I have a style, or if I do, I don't know what it is. So I sat down like half a dozen times with different pieces that I really admired from artists that I really look up to, and I would try to do it in my own style, and I would just draw a complete blank. I had no idea how to interpret that work without just trying to copy it as close as I could. And the pieces from that challenge that I've seen that I enjoy the most are the ones that aren't just a copying of the work, but really a reinterpretation of it. So, if it's a character sketch, they were, taking that character and putting them in a different setting or a different posture or, different surroundings, and it still maintained the essence of the character itself. And I found those kinds of paintings and pieces to be the most, they spoke to me the most. And that's what I wanted to be able to do, which is hard when you don't feel like you have a style. So I didn't participate in the challenge, and that felt a little bit defeating. But what I normally do when I feel defeated or I feel like a failure is kind of try to face that head on. And so that's what I was doing with this piece, is trying to not force a style, because I don't think forcing a style is something that you can really do, but trying to identify the things that are already present in my own work that are mine, the things that I like or don't like. Identifying those, analyzing them, understanding them better, I think will really help me along as far as finding who I am as an artist. Another big part of that is trying new things, trying new techniques, trying things that are outside my comfort zone. So like I mentioned with the wet on wet, that's not something that I normally do, and forcing myself outside my comfort zone to give it a try, maybe I like it, maybe I don't. In this case, I do really like it, but there are other things that I'm going to try that I won't like, and all of those things help to inform what my style will eventually be. As for the materials that I'm using today, this is a piece of 5x7 hot press watercolor paper by Legion. It's their Stonehenge line, and what I most frequently paint on. It's 300 GSM, I think that's 140 pounds. For paints, you saw in the very beginning I was using some swatch dot cards from Daniel Smith. I use those pretty much just for the background. That was a really cool swatch card that I got from one of my local art stores. They were giving them away. It's an artist selected palette. The main watercolors that I use for most of the girl, though, are a new set of Schmincke watercolors that I got. They're actually the first Schmincke paints that I've owned, and I really, really liked them. They were super fun to use. I think I might do a review video for the palette that I got, so we can go kind of more in depth into that palette and what's in it, what colors come with it. If you're interested in seeing that video, you can put a comment down in the comment box and let me know, and I will definitely get that set up. These are just fantastic paints to work with, and I'm looking forward to doing more pieces with them. Something else that I did different with this piece that's a handy tip is the masonite board. I normally take things directly to my desk, but that means that I have to paint it pretty directly, or it will probably get something spilled on it. In this case, I taped the painting to a piece of masonite board, and that allowed me to put it to the side. I think I did this original sketch like a week or so ago, and it was put up and not spilt upon until I had time to go in and do the painting. So if you're not doing that tip, I highly recommend that you do. It helps a lot. The last materials that I use are some metallic watercolors from Finetech. So I think I used the silver and some of the golds, and then I also have a metallic blue that I put over her shirt, and some red that I did on her lips. So I really wanted to embellish this piece and make it nice and shiny and sparkly. A, because I like sparkly things, and B, because she is a unicorn. As always, I'll have links to all the supplies I used in the description box below. Now we get to the most satisfying part of any painting, and that is taking the tape off. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you liked this video. If you did, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't. I put out videos every Thursday. Make sure to hit the notification bell so you get notified when I put up my next video, and I hope you have a great day. Bye!